Tyson Fury, Mariusz Wach obviously going ahead in Thailand on July 24th. Obviously, Thailand being a place where Fury has spent a lot of time, a lot of training camps. Clearly, really enjoys it there and is, in a sense, giving back with this fight. Is it where that's how it's been angled? With, I believe, the profits going towards charities in Thailand and things like that. But this is obviously a fight the day before the AJ fight in Thailand, so he's going ahead on the 24th of July. UK time, it would be in the evening sort of time, and then AJ the next day on the Saturday, the 25th, is going ahead against Parenga. So look, added dynamic into the fight now, where both fighters have now got a obstacle to get past in a sense of Wach with Fury and Parenga. Obviously with AJ already had that, so it just adds another dynamic of pressure, and also just the fans' fear and my fear that this fight's meant to have went ahead or been looked at least and got pretty serious in negotiations many times, and it's never really materialised, and it just adds that extra fight of going, this, it could go wrong. But let's go into Tyson Fury's opponent, Wach. He got 39 wins, 13 losses record at 46 years of age. Most notable fights in 2022 was against Makhmudov, 23, faced Fraser Clark, so names people know, and then 24 losing against Toma in round 2. But all them fights there, Makhmudov lost by KO, 23 lost by decision to Fraser Clark, and then 24 Toma KO'd him in round 2. Obviously a big guy, I think that size is partially been the reason for his choice, Fury's choice really to fight him. He's 6'7", that's a big height, and it gets the size in there, which is needed. I think he needs to face a big guy. I think does Wach give him any minds or purpose to face, sort of, is he a fight that sort of gets him ready for AJ and the style of AJ and things like that? No, not at all. I think Wach is just too low of a level to even provide any sort of training or ability for Fury. I think what it is getting under them lights, getting out in front of a massive crowd. That is the key thing that Fury will get from this fight again. It's getting him out in front of that crowd, feeling that pressure of a fight, and going, yes, I can do this. And I think that's the whole purpose of it. Makhmudov was clearly, as Makhmudov is KO'd, Wach is the better fighter and clearly is a higher level than Wach is. When he's fought anyone of sort of notoriety, even Fraser Clark, he's lost. So he's a good few levels below Fury. Old Fury, new Fury. He's beat Makhmudov, so he's definitely up. Definitely a couple levels higher than Wach, at least a couple in this sense. But for fans, that's good. In a sense, if Fury's taking another fight, you didn't want him to go against another Makhmudov, another, even maybe a better fighter than Makhmudov, maybe a step up. That would have caused a bit of concern. So the fact he's went sort of a level below, he's clearly just looking to get back in front of a crowd, back out in a stadium, get in front of them, that pressure of a fight night and everything else, and trying to look for it. He's going to be looking for a finish. He's going to be looking for a statement before the AJ fight to feel a lot more confident, because 100% he came out that Makhmudov fight feeling very, unconfident, I'd 100% say, and he wants to feel very confident going into an AJ fight, which I get. AJ will be looking to do the same as Parenga, 100%. They're both looking for KOs there to show, look, I am ready for this, and I myself am confident I can get him out of there. But the fact that it's a day apart puts pressure on both. I think Fury's going to have massive pressure that he's fighting the day before AJ, and look, it would be pressure anyway, but I think it puts a hell of a lot of pressure on AJ. because he's going to see Fury's won. Fury's going to be obviously clearly speaking a lot post his fight if he wins, going, look, AJ, I hope you win tomorrow, and the rest of it. Everyone is going to be looking at AJ to win and win in style. If Fury does, he's going to have to show it. If Fury has a lackluster performance, but still wins, then it becomes a different story, I think. But I think there's going to be massive pressure on AJ. I think this is exactly why Fury has put it in the day before the AJ fight, is to try and create some pressure for AJ, to try and push him, to make him look worse. I think AJ will win, but I think it could mean he looks worse than he probably should do, and he may go to a decision, which then gives ammunition for Fury in their fight talks, their press conferences, the rest of it. And that's what Fury's looking for. He's looking to get under the skin of AJ, try and push him a bit in these press conferences, and this is a great way, if it does go slightly wrong for AJ, to do so. But just I fear about this fight, it's sort of in MMA anyway. If we look at that angle, it's like the Khabib-Tony Ferguson fight. It was meant to happen. It was sort of nearly booked loads of times. There was just so many issues that it just never could. It basically was just a cursed fight. And it feels like the AJ Fury fight has been talked about for years. It never really came about. And then suddenly it has. And all signed, and both parties seem to want to do it. It just becomes a bit like we're putting in more and more hurdles. If one of them gets cut, if one of them gets a bit of injury from a shot, it could then push the fight even further back. And suddenly you go, these guys aren't young. They're getting towards the ends of their career, especially Fury. He's getting on a bit. AJ, after all he's done in his line of work in boxing and stuff, he's no spring chicken. He's took damage. Fury definitely is sort of fighting less 100% in the last few years, and he's sort of going away, coming back, retiring and then coming back. And it just becomes a bit like this could be a problem where you go, but is this going to happen? Because they've all got these contracts that have to happen by the end of the year. Then AJ took a fight, and then, which is fine. Then Fury took another fight. So if anything, I'm less concerned with them losing. I'm more concerned that one of them gets slightly injured, gets a slight problem, maybe in training camp. It could even be that. And suddenly it opens up in the fight, or something happens in the fight, because these guys can hit. Yeah, don't get me wrong. They will land a punch on AJ and Fury. That is a fact in these two fights. They will have punch landed. But going through another training camp, and look, AJ clearly needs it. It's more on the Fury side. There's not an unlimited amount of I get slightly touched. I in training I'm staying safe and things like that. Accidents happen in training camp, and especially when you're just getting punched in the face, it becomes a bigger issue of going, if I got a cut, if I got a slight laceration across the eye, it becomes that can cause a problem in the fight. And if you come out the fight going, I've got a bad cut, I've got XYZ, that's got to heal. And no way is either the AJ team or the Fury team going to allow their fighter to go into probably one of the biggest fights of their career, 100% probably the biggest star showing of their career, or it's at least very much up there, with a slight cuts healed, but it hasn't fully healed. It's still a bit of a problem. It can open up quite easily. Going into this fight where it pretty much ends one of their careers, I fully expect, no way is that going to be allowed. So look, they have to be as clean as possible. That's the key problem. If they get cut, if they get any injuries, they get slight nicks, slight whatever, it could easily push the fights back. And if the fights get pushed back to the end of the year, to maybe next year, that suddenly changes the contract dynamic, I believe, from what both parties have said, that pretty much it has to happen by the end of the year. And if it doesn't, that suddenly starts creating more noise around contracts, around, right, I want this, I want that. And they're always going to try and one-up each other. So if Fury, say, is ready to fight by the end of the year, or AJ is, and the other one isn't, and they've got to renegotiate that contract because apparently it's got to all happen by the end of the year, suddenly they go, no, I'm not having that. I was ready to fight by the end of the year, so I want more percentage. I want more X, Y, Z. And suddenly that becomes a bit more like, yes, Turkey Al-Sheikh wants to make the fight and clearly funding it. And it sort of creates a dynamic of it's not 50% of a purse, 50-50 type thing, or 40-60. It's you're negotiating with Turkey Al-Sheikh. How much do you need? Right, that's for you, that's for you. It's negotiated totally separately from each other. And that sort of means that, yes, it gets rid of some of the barriers I fully expect happened back in the day when these fights were sort of touted to be happening, sort of confirmed, it happened a few times. Again, because they're always going to want to one up each other, and they're massive stars. Their value to themselves and what they think is 60% of a purse, and the other guy's 60% of a purse. You can't have 120%. So that always became, I think, part of the problem previously, where look, these contracts are trying to one up each other, they're trying to do this, trying to do that, and it just never materialised into a fight where it could ever happen. I think this separate negotiation has been the key for this fight to allow it to happen. I think that is the major thing that has just supported it totally, because if you're happy with your pay, you're happy with your pay. Go fight, and it's probably an absurd amount of money where none of them can say no. Fury can't say no, AJ can't say no. It's to the point where no matter what the other one's earning, it is so big that it's the biggest fight and it's well worth the risk. And Fury's definitely coming to the end of his career. AJ definitely is coming to the end of his career. It becomes, this is the money fight you can make, and it's worth massive amount more than it's probably actually worth commercially. But Turkey Al-Sheikh wants to put it on, and that is so like, you got to shake the hand and you got to get it done. So Wach, look, he's a plodding heavyweight, heavy guy, heavy hands. Has he got any sort of skill at that sort of level? No, I think he's for sure. He's a massively down below Fury's level, 100%. And we should see Fury dance around him like sort of old Fury used to do, dance around him, get around him. If he just stands in front of him, that's where I would say, even if he gets to win, no matter what, if he's not moving, if he's not showing his movements as he used to, cutting them angles, getting round him, throwing that jab, getting round, throwing the hooks, showing that he's a big guy, but he moves quite well around the ring. And it sort of got lost in the Makhmudov fight, really, for most of the fight. If that isn't shown, it does concern me with AJ, because AJ likes that type of fight. He wants you to stand there and be immobile. And that's what made Fury good, is that movement, the jab, get out of the way, throw the hooks and get moving around that ring, get people to miss, and then you can fire off with your long arms, your massive reach you have. Use that to your advantage as people miss. And that's exactly what Fury used to do, is just get that jab out there, pour it out there and get shots off. But yeah, I think that's my only concern. I think AJ will come into it very well against Perenga the day after. But the Wach fight, I think that could be a concern for Fury. I think he gets a win. He could even get the KO very early. But if he's not moving like he should do against an AJ, because that's what he should be. No matter, he shouldn't even be looking really at his opponent and how to beat him. That's easy for him. Someone of his level, that should be easy. What it is, he should be practicing the movements that he'll use against AJ. The style he's always done really well with. If he stands in front of him, sort of like the Makhmudov fight, where he's standing for quite a long time. Because the point is, his age cause that ability, that style of fighting to become impossible for Fury now. And that could be the case, and that could be a real big concern we get post this fight. And look, AJ could look not very good against Perenga. We don't know yet, but my main concern is with Fury, I would say. I think in the Makhmudov fight, he looked a bit concerning. AJ, he seems to be coming into it wanting to, he's got a renewed level of, I need to win. I need to win a world championship. I need to do it for my friends I lost and all that type of business. He's coming into it with such a focus. And it just seems like I've got, in my opinion, looking at both of them and what they've said out in the media, I've got a totally less concern about AJ, funny enough, coming into this fight and coming into Perenga and coming into the Fury fight. I've got a bigger concern with Fury. How he fought against Makhmudov, he should have easily been dancing around him, showing his skills, getting it done and probably getting a KO. He didn't. Now he's going down a good few levels below that. Let's see how he does, because if he's not getting him out there, if he's not dancing, showing his movement skills, his abilities, that's a bigger concern for me in that fight. And I think that's a fight to watch with who's going to win the AJ Fury fight at the end of, likely the end of this year. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.